Good day, students. Welcome back to Social Studies. We will be doing a recap of the electoral process. The electoral process is the process where people or parties are elected into parliament. This is when we go out and vote for the people that we want to be in government. But there's an entire process leading up to that very day when we go out to vote. This includes careful consideration of the voting process that I just spoke about and competing in elections. A government is a group of people elected by citizens of a country to conduct the affairs of the country. For example, the People's United Party, who we went out to vote for to run the affairs of our country. This means that we give them the right to do certain things on our behalf as Belizean citizens. Some of the things that they might engage in is the fixing of roads, building and maintaining relationships with other countries, which in turn can help bring scholarship opportunities to the citizens of Belize. Belize is a democratic nation. This means that people go out and vote to pick who they want to be a part of the government. It's not just forced upon them who will be members of their government. This is done through the general elections. General election is the election where the entire country partake. Village, towns, cities, everyone has to partake in the general election. This is usually done every 5 years. Elections and boundaries are tasked to supervise the elections. They also work to ensure that eligible voters are registered to vote in the elections. So you will notice that when elections are near, elections and boundaries officials go to different places and they ensure that if you're 18 that you go in to sign up for your voter's ID. The chief electoral or elections officer is tasked with ensuring that elections are free and fair and are in accordance with internationally accepted standards. The essentials of free and fair election includes 1. People over 18 can register to vote or become a candidate. Every adult citizen has the right to register as a voter or candidate. 2. Freedom to form political parties and host rallies or campaigns. Citizens have the right to form political parties here in Belize and to move freely within the country to hold political rallies and to campaign. 3. Freedom to raise concerns and lodge complaints about parts of the election process. Citizens have the right to raise questions about and register objections and any complaints about any aspect of the electoral process. 4. Freedom to express political opinion without backlash. Voters, candidates, and political parties have the right to express political opinions without any interference. 5. Freedom to cast a ballot in secret. Voters have the right to cast their ballots in secret, so no one has to know who they voted for. 6. Have access to polling stations. Voters have a right to access polling stations to exercise their right to vote. 7. No one should be subjected to bribery, violence, or intimidation, which might influence the outcome of the elections. Voters, candidates, and parties should not be subjected to any bribery, violence, or intimidation to influence the outcome of the elections. 8. Fair treatment during the process. Voters, candidates, and political parties should be treated fairly by election officials, the government, the police, and the courts. 9. Ballot counting should be open and transparent. The counting of ballots should be open and transparent. 10. The electoral organization should be independent and non-partisan. The electoral organization administering the elections should be independent and non-partisan. 11. Everyone should have equal access to state and public service media to present their political views. Every candidate and political party should have equal access to state and public service media to present their political views. There should be balanced reporting on the elections by the media. 12. The rights of others should be respected. Candidates and parties should respect the rights of others and not engage in violence or disruption of the election process. 13. All parties and candidates should have equal access to campaign finance. All parties and candidates should have equal opportunity to access campaign finance. The Chief Electoral Officer is in charge of ensuring that the election process is a fair and free one and that people can rely on the process to be fair and free. Before election day, 1. The country has to have been divided into constituencies. All citizens who have reached the age of 18 are registered to vote and are issued with identification cards, their voter's ID. The country is divided into constituencies. So you might hear things like Stan Creek West, Corozal North, and things like that. Those are different constituencies. Elections officials. An up-to-date voters list is prepared, sufficient ballot papers are prepared and distributed to each polling station. People are notified of their polling station. On election day, these are some of the things that should be in place. 1. Voting is properly supervised. 2. Voting is done in secret. 3. No extra ballots are placed in the ballot boxes. 4. Ballot boxes are secured at the end of the voting. And 5. Ballots are counted and recorded accurately. Now, the voting process. Eligible voter gives their name to the poll clerk. Then, the voter's name is checked against voters list. Anyone who has gotten a voter's ID, their name is on the list. So once you've given your voter's ID to the poll clerk, they go and they check your name off the list. Then the presiding officer verifies voter identification, that it is truly you who are going to vote and someone else is not using your ID to go out and vote. The presiding officer verifies the voter has not voted before in that election. So they need to go and check their records to see that you have not casted a vote in that election before. Then the voter is instructed by presiding officer on how to cast a vote. Then the voter proceeds to the booth and casts his or her vote. The voter then folds the ballot paper as instructed and shows the presiding officer. This does not mean that the name of the person who was voted for is going to be shown. Remember, that remains a secret. And then the voter places the ballot paper in the ballot box. This is the end of our presentation, students. I want to take the time out to wish you guys a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year in advance. We will see you guys in January. Be safe and take care.